So grab your friends, wear your florals, and head out to see it.
Grab your friends, wear your florals, pat on that blush, and cozy up with a tasty cocktail. That's right, this year's sexiest movie about DV is here. Time to get excited. What's up, people? I recently talked about the bullying, narcissistic, detrimental duo depicted in an interview with reporter Flaw. I got backlash in this video, where I stated that Parker Posey jumped on the reporter bashing bandwagon with Blake Lively years ago in an interview with the lovely Miss Flaw.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes that you
had? Everyone wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
I would.
Many people thought that Blake was genuinely upset that she was asked about fashion when she should have been asked about something more substantial. And while I can totally agree that women can in fact be treated differently than men when it comes to interviews, was this really one of those scenarios?
You send me another interview from that same day in the same setting. So that it's Parker and Blake sitting in those same chairs, and they're being interviewed by a gentleman called Eric Wilkowski. And this was on a channel called Joe Blow, Joe Blow Movie Network. And there's two things that were pretty big for me in that. She was asked, what were some of the fun things or the exciting things about working on a period piece movie like this? Open-ended question. And what was her voluntary answer?
What are some of the fun things that come with shooting a movie that takes place during this, the golden age of Hollywood?
Music. The music was amazing. Getting to see, we were exposed to musicians, New Yorkers who specialize in 1930s jazz music. And we got to sit there and watch these live performances of them while we were dressed in these incredible vintage couture gowns and jewelry. And there's an excitement to that.
What's the second thing she brought up?
Costumes. Clothes, beautiful clothes and jewelry. Yeah.
How does that make you feel? For you to sit there and go, and probably for 8 years you've been in silence thinking about this, going, should I not have asked about that? Should I not have asked about the costumes? Or was I wrong? Because even the way you responded and saying, I would, it was such an inoffensive, you weren't like, hey, I would ask them, so answer the damn question. You were like, there was almost a self-reflection with you going, I would, I would do that.
My question is, isn't Blake's entire persona about clothing? Does she not portray herself as a fashion icon? Am I under the wrong impression that during the promotion of her latest film, It Ends With Us, rather than actually focus on the gravity of the film itself, she chose to promote her alcohol, clothing, and makeup brands? Maybe I'm crazy. And I might be mistaken, but didn't she actually talk about fashion in some of the other interviews on that very day, where she ripped Kirsty a new one for simply asking their opinion on the fashion in this movie? But the main purpose of this video is to talk about the fact that apparently Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman turned this movie about DV into a boys' night out with the hopes to turn attention from It Ends With Us to their film, Deadpool and Wolverine. Hey, don't get me wrong, I love Reynolds and Jackman to death. I think they're completely awesome, but the fact that there was clearly something strange going on in terms of them constantly popping up during this movie promotion. There was also rumors talking about how Reynolds bullied his way into the script on It Ends With Us, pushing the main director, Justin Baldoni, out of the picture.
Is there something about Blake that we don't know, and what was it like working with her?
I don't know if you know how smart and creative she really is. I think she's best known as an actress, and of course she's, a fashion, icon, but she is so much more than that. She is a dynamic creative. She had her hands in every part of this production, and everything she touched, she made better.
My husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you now.
Blake Lively reveals her husband, Ryan Reynolds, wrote a pivotal scene in her new movie, It Ends With Us. The Gossip Girl alum and her famous hubs hit the red carpet for the New York City premiere of the film, with Rye Guy's Deadpool and Wolverine co-star Hugh Jackman also showing up to support the film.
The worst part is that Baldoni was the one guy who was actually trying to promote the film for what it was, actually going out of his way to try to help others to understand that this film is more than about just making money and starting a fan base.
I'm honored, and I'm also more honored that because, what we're talking about is so important and so meaningful. That's what I'm grateful for.
And you had a key part in bringing it to the big screen. How did this all come to be?
And I was looking for films that could inspire, that were commercially viable, but also could really reach in and touch somebody's heart and maybe ask them to see the world a bit differently. And I read the book. I couldn't even finish it. I was just crying as I was reading it.
You were crying.
I was in tears. I was sitting next to my wife, who's here, by the way. Hi, baby. And just like snot running down my nose. And I just was like, if I could be this touched by Lily Bloom's story, then I can only imagine what this could do for so many people. So I wrote Colleen, and she believed in me enough to give me the honor of adapting it, and it's been 5 years to get here.
You know, you tackle domestic violence in a way that a lot of people don't expect. I think you think of a typical abuser, or you think of a typical victim, but this is nuancy, and sometimes by the time you get to the end of it, you really don't know how you feel.
Yeah, well, I think that's the challenge, right? Because what is a typical abuser or a typical victim? I think that there is no typical anything. I think that unhealthy relationships are on a spectrum, and this was a really important one. We partnered with our dear friends at No More. It was the only way that I could direct this movie is if I had a group of women specifically behind me who are specialists in this space. And from the very beginning, we worked very hard to create a very truthful and honest story that could reflect the reality of what millions and millions of people go through every day.
This movie is speaking up for all the people who had the unfortunate experience of dealing with DV in their lives. Showing up to a film promotion like this, promoting flower dresses, alcohol, and makeup, is just about as insulting as showing up to an AA meeting with a bottle of Jack.
I have a whole party bus. I got my family, I got my husband.
Fast forward to Tuesday's premiere in New York. Justin hit the carpet with his wife, but didn't pose with his co-stars. Blake posed with seemingly everyone but Justin. All this making fans wonder how a potential sequel could be handled.
Would you be willing to entertain pulling double duty again in the future?
I think Blake Lively's ready to direct. That's what I think. So, yeah.
Wednesday, headlines surfaced that Ryan Reynolds helped Blake rewrite a key scene in the film. Thursday, Justin appeared on The Today Show.
She had her hands in every part of this production, and everything she touched, she made better.
As of today, most of the cast is not following Justin on Instagram. And this morning, Colleen made her TikTok private after a new Daily Mail headline claimed Blake and Justin clashed on set over what they claim was a dismissive attitude to her input while they were filming scenes together.
Well, I might sound crazy to some. I know that I'm not the only one who feels this way. I received a lot of thoughts on the previous video stating similar things. I need to know your opinions on this. Is it right that these guys, along with Lively, were doing everything they could to promote their brands, to bring in those dollars when this movie was clearly meticulously written to try to get a point across to the general public about a very serious subject? I mean, for months, the weird marketing for It Ends With Us was raising eyebrows and causing intense drama on the internet. One of the promotional pieces that received the most criticism is a TikTok on the official It Ends With Us page where Lively says, "Grab your friends, wear your florals, and head out to see it." Completely inappropriate for a film with this subject matter, in my opinion. On top of that, Lively's disgustingly sarcastic answer to a serious question about how fans might reach out about their own personal experiences circulated.
They're really going to want to talk to you. This movie is going to affect people, and they're going to want to tell you about their lives. So if someone understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it?
Like asking for like my address or my phone number or like my location share. Or I could just location share you, and then we could. I'm just curious
just social security number.
I'm a Virgo, so I'm like, are we talking logistics? Are we talking emotionally?
This only fuels the fire in believing that Lively is truly just a cold, narcissistic, money-hungry prostitute behind the carefully crafted facade that she tries to display for the world. It has in fact been reported that Reynolds and Lively deliberately orchestrated both movies' premieres to coincide in order to create cinematic synergy, but at the end of the day, it was all about marketing. Nobody seemed to care whatsoever that literal victims of DV are simply being seen as dollar signs at this point. At least Baldoni has been known to go on speaking about the cause and the actual purpose of the movie actively in his interviews.
I read it, and by the end of the book, I couldn't even read the text on the page because I was crying so much. My wife was in bed next to me, and she's, I got snot coming out of my nose. And then I read the reason why Colleen wrote the movie. It was for her mother, who had a real life experience like this. She was Lily Bloom. And I just thought, if this could affect me in this way, then I can only imagine what it could do for women and people who are in this situation all over the world. Because all of us have a situation or a pattern that we need to end the cycle of.
Not only in his interviews, but he even cared enough to advertise for DV help on his Instagram profile. Meanwhile, Blake is advertising for her liquor, dresses, and makeup. Maybe next time in an interview with Blake, she should be asked about her makeup, booze, or dresses instead of the actual movie she's trying to promote. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.
And thought she seemed nice, and little did I know.
Yeah.